I owed them 7. I've completed 7. 6 seasons of Hollywood, 1 season of Atlanta. I'm out. I'm out. And I want to say this. It's been a wild ride on Love and Hip Hop. I am grateful for the... Yes, I do have social anxiety disorder. I'm grateful. Just me and 3 kids, we're good. I'm grateful for the opportunity, the platform, what it's helped me been able to do. It didn't really do anything for my music, but it did give me a fan base, which is you guys. And filming the show is stressful. It fucks with my head. I will say that this year, with the new production company, and in talking to Mona and talking to one of our EPs, Stephanie Gale, even to the network, Legal at the Network, I was very adamant that they take into consideration my mental health, because that's not a joke. And the show is one of the main causes of my depression and anxiety. And here are the reasons why. I already don't do good in my day-to-day life. I don't do good, like, just being out and about. Being around large groups of people. Having to talk all day. Now, if I develop some sort of emotional attachment to you, I could talk literally for hours to someone about anything. But to have to fight all the time, defend myself all the time, talk all the time, talk to the crew, talk to the producers, that is like really stressful. And that it's not because not everyone is always saying something crazy to me. That's not why. It's just that it gives me anxiety. I overwhelm very easily. So, like, I get frustrated in the story meetings. I get, when we have to go in and tell what's going on, and they tell us who's new on the cast, and they want to know if we know them and how, and it's just like, I feel like there's so many producers on the show, I constantly have to repeat myself, so then I shut down, then I don't want to talk. So Mona and Stephanie and the network and the new production team have done a really good job of making sure that one person talks to me, one person deals with me, several producers aren't overwhelming me at one time. They've been really good at talking to Darlene and Adija about my scheduling, my timing, so that all I really have to do is show up to work. And then the depression side is, for so long, my music got no recognition. My personal and familial story was not told at all. And the flip side of that is, there were so many cast members at one point that it's really hard to accurately tell someone's personal story, right? Your personal story doesn't really thrive there, because my story has to connect to Princess's story, and Princess's story has to connect to Lyrica's story, and Lyrica's story has to connect to an Apple Watts story, and Apple Watts story has to connect to a Mr. Ray story, and a Mr. Ray story has to connect to this story. So there's a lot of moving parts. And that's the first part of it. Secondly is the whole thing with my baby daddy. Every season, he wages a new war on me one way or another. Okay, fine. So he sat in the park and he offered me a bullshit apology because I had to fucking force it out of him. Right? But literally, first season, it was, I'm a deadbeat. Second season, I was dating Rich, and Drew actually was about to get the axe, and I didn't know. I didn't know that he was about to be cut from the show because he didn't have a storyline. And not cut from the show permanently, just kind of dwindled down for the season. And then we had that whole back and forth about him keeping my son from me on Mother's Day. And I exposed him online, and that revived his storyline. Next thing you know, that was a Sunday. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call that I need to shoot this scene first thing in the morning on Monday. And that was a scene in the studio where he and I like cried and all this extra stuff. And I thought that was going to be like our reset button as co-parents and like a genuine restart. And then third season, he started dating Nikki, and they were really talking, like it was real. And at the time, Nikki and I were not in a good place. So that was the third season war that he, sent my way. And then fourth season, he didn't have anything going on, I don't think, with anybody. Can't remember. Season 2 was Kamaya. Oh, season 2 was Kamaya and Nikki, and then Nikki carried over into season 3. And then season 4, I can't remember. I don't think... Was he... Season 4, he wasn't dating anybody. Then season 5, he came back with Tiffany. And at the time, Tiffany and I weren't good either. And then season 6, now he's with April. April and I were not enemies prior to this show. We'd had our hiccup, but that was it. And we had gotten over it, but then they went public with their relationship. And then they both just took a turn down, like, negative town. And of course they'll spin it and blame it on me and say, I'm still in love with him, I care about him, I still want to be with him, I'm going to have a problem with any and everyone he dates, just let that man move on and be happy. It'll all be my fault. But literally every single season, he wages a new, war. And sometimes, I feel like he just does stuff for storyline, which, he was really dating, who's the bitch I smashed? Amanda. He was really dating Kamaya. He was really dating Nikki for a second, and then I think that he led her on, and he just used her for a storyline season 3. And then season 4, he didn't have anything to pull out of his hat. So season 5, he linked up with Tiffany. That wasn't real at all in any shape, form, or fashion. They weren't together. They weren't sleeping together. They weren't hanging out off camera. Our kids weren't hanging out. None of that. So now there's the April thing, and that's very real. That's not just for a storyline. They're really dating. They really live together. All these things. And had they just been more respectful of me, I would have been totally supportive. So it's like, but when you do things that are whack, whether it's real or for a storyline, then you are actually compromising your co-parenting relationship in real life. So when you link up with Tiffany, and me and Tiffany don't like each other at the time, and you're not actually dating her, I heard that you were trying to bring her on the show. I asked you if you were bringing her on the show. You said no. I let it go. I didn't ask if you were sleeping with her. I didn't ask if you were planning to, grab her hand and skip off into Neverland. I didn't, ask if she was around Cameron. I didn't ask any of those questions because I knew that it was fake. So when you do that, you put me in a position to where when I sit down at the dinner with you, AD, Tiffany, and I'm not giving the reaction that you guys want, which is I'm not going at her neck. You know what I mean? And I'm not going at your neck, and AD's there to support me, and we're not attacking either one of you, right? So that doesn't work. So what do? Which they edited what Drew said out of that scene. He said, well, I just want things to be copacetic because at some point I plan to involve her in Cameron's life. Well, that's where I draw the line. Because what you're not going to do is involve my son, to add validity to your bullshit storyline. That's where now my reaction is real. So he knows what to say to get me to go. And then from there, real things come up. So when he said that, I went off on him. Tiffany went off on me. I went off on her. AD's just sat there. Drew came in, blamed me for the way things were. And I'm like, let's go, AD. And she's just like, okay, it wasn't supposed to go this way. So at the end of the day, the depression part comes from that. You can't do fake shit in real life and on camera and then expect that your real life is going to be peaceful. And yes, I control how I react. My reaction was not whack at first. My reaction was, okay, well, Drew, you're not welcome in my home. I don't trust you. You know why. And at the time, you guys didn't know why. You didn't know that he wasn't welcome in my home because he had bruised my son. He admitted to my mom in tears that he had done it. He had lost his temper. They were in the car. He turned around and swung on Cameron from the back seat and bruised his arm. DCFS got involved. He told Cameron when they came, don't let them take you. So Cameron said that he got the bruises from basketball. So when DCFS came to see me, they closed the case. And they left Cameron in his care. Well, what you guys don't understand is we have a legally binding custodial agreement on paper. So when I said I wasn't going to give Cameron back, not only would I have been in contempt of court, I would have been arrested for kidnapping, but he was never going to be arrested for abuse. So it's a touchy situation. It's not as easy and as seamless and as go get your kid as you guys think. So that just in turn adds to the depression. And then on top of that, then I'm in this scene with Princess, which, at the time she and I weren't good. I knew she was pregnant. Production asked me to do a scene with her. I said, no, not until after she has the baby. And they said, well, she wants to film with you. And I said, no, because I'm not in a good place. I'm not in a good headspace right now. And I can't trust myself to keep my hands to myself. And I'm going to have a hard time handling this the way you guys want me to handle this, because if the general synopsis across the board with the cast is that I'm crazy, I'm the problem, why would you seek me out pregnant if you think I'm crazy? If you know I don't have any common sense, why would you want to shoot with me while you're with child? So they planted her at 80s fashion show, and then we see the whole thing with the chair. Well, I had just made the decision, I think right before that, to go back on medication. It hadn't even been like a week. And after that, I refused to shoot. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was really short-tempered with Cameron, with AD, with my family. So that's the whole depression part. And that was why when we got to the reunion, I was like, you know what? When I first saw her, my blood was boiling, and I was like, fuck it, she's not pregnant anymore. And then I was like, you know what? She's a mom. I'm a mom. We both have these beautiful kids. Melody is beautiful. Cameron is amazing. I was seeing things on the blogs at that point of Melody. She seemed to be really smart. Princess seemed to be, a really good mom. And from what I see, Ray J seems to be a really good dad. And it reflects in their child, And so her daughter, their daughter didn't deserve that. My son didn't deserve that. Melody deserves to have a mom in the free world. Cameron deserves to have a mom in the free world. And from what I'd heard about Princess, she also had a really sweet, caring side. So I know that so do I. And then on top of that, we get a lot of rap, a bad rap, us as cast, the producers, the network, for constantly fighting. And, we're all like, oh, we hate to see black women perpetuate this, sick cycle and da-da-da-da. And I was like, Who's going to be the first to actually say, you know what, without excuse, I offered Princess no excuses. You know what? That was whack. I'm sorry. And I don't have any excuses. I recognize that was wrong. I know that that's unhealthy. And I know that that was a marker for it's time for me to go. When I lose the ability and I lose the insight to say, you know what, this woman is carrying an innocent life that didn't do anything to me. It's not, this baby's not even born yet. That's a problem. And that's my problem. That's my problem. That's not a Princess problem. That's not a Ray J problem. That's not a Lyrica problem. That's not a nobody. That's a me problem. So, you know, I just was in that space, and since then, Princess and I talk, you know, from time to time off camera. She'll check on me, I'll check on her, or I'll see something about her and Melody, and, you know, on social media, and I'll reach out to her and just, you know, and not even encourage her, because it's not that she needs that, but just acknowledge the fact that I know that being a parent is hard, and I know that being a first-time parent is hard, even when you have the help, and you're doing a great job, you know, and so... yeah, that's why the show, you know, depresses me. Yes, Clower Eyes 24. So, the depression part stems from shit like that. It's shit that I can't control, but ultimately ends up controlling my day-to-day life. If shit's going crazy on camera, that means that I don't get enough rest because I have to be up to film something first thing in the morning. But on top of that, I got to get Cam to school. I have to sit and glam. I have to come back. I have to pick him up. I have to get him, you know, home, situated, wait for a sitter or a tutor to get here. And then I got to go back and film, come home, get him. And I know working moms do it all the time, but I'm not every working mom. You know what I mean? I struggle with depression. I struggle with anxiety. I have ADHD. I don't really do a good job focusing. So not every single working mother shares the same emotional and mental struggles that I do. So they get to, you know, and it's not that it's any easier for them being a parent. It's still hard, you know, but it's a lot easier to cope. It's a lot easier to decompartmentalize. It's a lot easier to, you know, enforce structure. And structure for a parent isn't just structure for the child and discipline for the child. It's structure for yourself. So I don't possess the ability to discipline myself. So in other words, if I'm telling Cameron, you know what, no more candy for the week, right? But he's freaking out and he's flipping out and he's throwing temper tantrums and slamming doors and giving me a hard time about the homework because I said no more candy. At some point, I'm probably just going to be like, eat the fucking candy. I can't take it. Just eat the candy. Right? Somebody who doesn't struggle with the same emotional struggles that I have or mental health issues that I have, they can stick it out. You know what I mean? Like, they can be like, I said no. All right, they're 8, 9 years old. They'll be fine. I don't have that ability. So, because I can't take it. I get too overwhelmed. I can't take it. So, you know, that's why I need to take a break, and a clean break where I have fulfilled all my contractual obligations. I'll be free to move on and do other things if that's what I want to do. Or I don't. Yeah, I wasn't coming back to the show. He said he wasn't coming back. I wasn't sure. And I think our contracts were different. They had added, I had 7 cycles. I think his was the standard 5. So last season would have been his 5th without a contractual obligation to go back. See, there's a difference. If I sign for 5 seasons with the network having the option to renew for 2 more cycles, that's a total of 7. But if he signed for 3 and the network had the option to pick him up for 2 more, that would have been 5. So had I stopped at 5, I still would have owed them 2. When he stopped at 5, he owed them nothing. And they still wanted to bring him back, and it made sense, I'm guessing, for him to come back, so he did. I would have, I didn't have a pickup notice from the show. When he made that live about the storyline and, hopeful storyline, because I'm not coming back, I didn't even have a pickup notice. I wasn't coming back either. And if you guys noticed, when you watched the season 5 reunion, you saw how everyone went around and did their, ending. Nina asks everyone what's, what they have coming up, what's next for them, where they are in that moment, how they feel about the end of the season. I said, AD and I are together trying to figure it out, working towards whatever. I'm dropping my album tonight. Bam, 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 bam. They cut all that out because I said I wasn't going to be coming back. So if you go back and watch the season 5 reunion, my closing statements were completely edited out. So I was not coming back. Lucky Q or whatever. That's a really good question. And that was always my issue with Drew. Drew didn't take into consideration the fact that my son was going to grow up and see all of this, right? And that he single-handedly put out there that I did not want my child. How do you think that's going to make your child feel? So, for so many seasons, I have protected Drew, meaning I have not returned the favor. I have not reciprocated until recently. I have not reciprocated the disrespect. I kept all of his secrets, being on the run, abusing our son, not actually being present, his mom actually pulling his physical load, April being on live with her kids in their house, but my son being at Drew's mom's house. Drew's mom not having hot water for months, and Drew didn't pay to fix it, nothing. But yet she was keeping our son. So, for the sake of Cameron, I've said very little. And what I tried to do, in my real life was actually be present. But the depression doesn't really allow for that sometimes. Sometimes I can't get up. Sometimes I don't want to go to the park. I don't want to play basketball. I don't want to swim. I don't want to go on a walk. I don't want to ride the bikes. I don't want to go. I just don't. And sometimes during Drew's weekend, I don't want to get up for the basketball games. It's hard. I'm up all night. I don't sleep. I can't eat. I don't have any energy. It's a lot. So at the end of the day, I do my best to be present so that when Cameron does see all these things, the life he actually lived with me in my home was the total opposite of what his dad put out there to the world. So, when that was one of my main reasons for not using a nanny for so long. For a very long time. I didn't try the nanny thing until season 5, but at that point, it was too fucking late. Cameron was 8, about to be 9. When he's in my house, he's used to it just being me and him, or me, him, and AD. So he has my undivided attention. I'm the one taking him to school. I'm the one cooking the dinner. I'm the one putting him in the shower. At 8, I'm still giving him showers and baths, So at the end of the day, when he's with me, he's with me. When he's with Drew, he's with Drew's cousin. He's with Drew's mom. He's with Drew's sister. He's at the house with this one. He's not with his dad. So, there's a different level of codependency that Cameron has on me when he's with his dad's mom. No one's paying attention to him. He's on the computer. He's, upstairs, vegging out, watching TV. He's on YouTube. He outside playing basketball by himself, in the house playing the soccer, whatever. And, his mom gets overwhelmed, and recently, his mom kept going off on Cameron, and Cameron would call me crying, and like, I'm stuck between this rock and a hard place where I'm like, I know that Cameron watches his dad disrespect his grandmother constantly. So Cameron, Drew's mom is in the background going off on my son. All I do is help you, boy, and you don't, damn it, da-da-da-da-da. And Cam's in the bed in tears, and I'm like, I'm torn because I know that Cameron's not respectful to Drew's mom. I know he's not. So it's this moment of, do I go bail Cameron out? Or is what he's, because Cameron was basically saying, oh, my little cousin, mom wants me to lay down and go to sleep. I have to get up for school in the morning. And my little cousin, she keeps coming in and talking to me. But ma came in and she yelled at me and she's blaming me. And I'm trying to go to sleep. And so I'm like, okay, is he giving his grandma a hard time? Or is she just overwhelmed and taking it out on him? So if he's just, you don't get to, as my child, you don't get to be disrespectful, and then when you get the lashing, you want me to come bail stuff. I don't like that, because I have a son, and we're not going to go there. I know what the rumors are. I know what the allegations are, and we're not doing that. Okay? So, I don't care what you think, sir, about someone touching Cameron's dad. We're not gonna go there. Period. Okay?